We've seen how to append an item to the list, which is handy if we want to add the item to the very last position. Sometimes, however, we want to add the item to a specific position within the list, and for that, we need a different operation. The insert operation allows us to add the value to the list, but to control where it's positioned within the list. The general syntax for the insert method looks like this. You start out with the identifier of the list, then include the command .insert, and then in the parentheses, you need to include two different values. One that represents the position that you want to place the item, the index where you'd like it to go, and the second represents the value that you'd like to add. Let's suppose that we've already added a few values to our quiz score list. Suppose we've already created it and it's storing a 10, 1, 8, 7, 8, 5, 9. So in memory, that looks like this. The 10 is at index 0, 1 is at index 1, 8 is at index 2, 7 is at index 3, 8 is at index 4, 5 is at index 5, and finally 9 is at index 6. There's 7 items in the list. And suppose now we want to read in a new quiz score value from the user and we want to insert it at position 3. Position 3 is right here in the list. We're going to put it at index 3, so it's going to be in the space that's currently occupied by the 7. And then as we insert a value into the list, Python is going to shift all these other existing values in the list over one to the right-hand side. So the new list will have 8 items in it, with the 3 followed by the 7, 8, 5, 9. The syntax for doing that looks like this. We could store the position in a particular variable, or we could just use a literal value if it was always going to remain constant. We could prompt the user to enter in a new quiz score value. And then finally, we could say, I want to insert that new value at position 3. We do that by including the identifier for the list, then the .insert command, and then in the parentheses, we give it 2 pieces of information, the place, the index where we'd like to add the item, and then also the new value, the thing that we want to add to our collection. If we wanted to, we could print out the contents of quiz score list immediately following. So let's see what would be in memory. Suppose that we typed in the value 3. That's what we want to add to the list. Then after executing these commands, Python would add that value 3 at position 3, and then all the other items that were part of the original list, those would all be moved over one cell to the right. So our new list would be 10, 1, 8, 3, 7, 8, 5, 9. Let's suppose that we wanted to add a different value instead. Suppose that instead, when we asked the user to enter their new quiz score, we typed in the value 6. How would that change what happened when we executed these commands? When we execute these commands, the position won't change. That's still assigned the value 3 because we used a literal value. But now we're saying the user is going to enter the value 6 at this prompt. So we'll be storing 6 as new score. Then we'll add the item 6 in the position 3 to the quiz score list. If we were doing that with our original list, starting with our 10, 1, 8, 7, 8, 5, 9, we would be putting the 6 right here at position 3 instead of the 3. Again, that's just based on what the user is entering as input.